please. All right, back on the record. Record should reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Mr. Scheck, have you concluded your cross-examination of Mr. Fung?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
All right, redirect examination, Mr. Goldberg.
Good evening, Mr. Fung.
Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Fung, let me see if I have this. Were you involved together with Detective Lang, Detective Furman, Detective Van Adder, Michelle Kessler, and her husband, whoever that might be, in a conspiracy against this defendant?
What's the objection? Grounds? Overruled.
No.
Were you involved in some kind of a conspiracy with Andrea Mazzola to cover up receiving some item with your bare hands?
No.
Were you involved in any conspiracy with Detective Van Adder to allow him to keep a vial overnight so that he could do with it what he pleased?
No.
Or with Detective Lang to allow him into the evidence processing room so that he could somehow maybe take the defendant's shoes and in some way get any DNA that might be on them, on the swatches and the controls?
Grounds?
Leading, compound, speculative.
Sustained on the leading ground.
Were you involved in any conspiracy whatsoever with Mr. Lang to allow him into an evidence processing room?
No.
Overruled.
Or with anyone in this case, Mr. Fung?
Nobody.
Now, Mr. Fung, do you recall that on a cross-examination an issue came up as to one of the pages from the crime scene identification checklist, the original of which was missing?
Yes.
And do you happen to have a Xerox copy of that page now?
No.
Not the original, but a Xerox.
See, that would be the...
And we're referring to 1107, correct?
I don't have one, no.
And did you find the original of that document?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
I opened up my notebook and examined that page, and it was there.
Now, there are two notebooks that are sort of similar that you've seen. One is the notebook that I'm holding in my hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you have a notebook in front of you.
Yes.
And for the record, Your Honor, these are blue notebooks about an inch thick or so.
Appear to be.
And is your notebook your own personal notes that you maintained?
Yes.
Okay. So you found the original of that document that was missing in your notebook?
Your Honor, I think we should go as to which document, which item number
Yes.
for the record.
It's a little obscure.
Okay. It was part of what's been marked the crime scene identification checklist. I believe that's defense 1107 for identification.
Yes.
That was page 4 of the...
No, not page 4, the other page that talked about giving certain items to Mr. Yamauchi.
Yes.
Your Honor, now that's leading, and I'd like to know which document, I think the record should be clear as to which document he's talking about now.
Sustained.
Okay,
Rephrase the question, please.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is a page entitled Field Notes, and it has in the upper left-hand corner the date of 6/14/94, and then lists certain items. Counsel's familiar with it.
All right. People's next in order.
Yes.
People's 181.
May I approach?
You may.
So showing you People's 181, you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a page that I used to record the transaction of items when I released them to Mr. or criminalist Yamauchi.
Okay, and is that the original?
Yes, it is.
Now, generally speaking, the documents that you have in your notebook, are those originals or copies?
The ones I have in my notebook are generally copies.
And showing you the notebook that I have in front of me, I think you've seen this before, but are these supposed to be the originals or copies?
These should be the originals.
So in some manner, the original of that document got into your notebook instead of the notebooks that's supposed to contain the originals?
Yes.
During the recess, sir, did you have an opportunity to look in your notebook and find the original of page 4?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to mark as people's next in order. That's Exhibit 182.
182.
A document that has page 4 at the top, and it has various writing, all typewritten, but it's not filled out. Now, sir, you testified that you were a firearms examiner, is that correct? Right now?
Yes.
And do you also do tool marks?
I have, yes.
Okay, I'd like to show you what's just been marked as people's next exhibit, page number 4. Will you take a look at that, sir?
Yes.
And will you take a look at the staple holes in the upper left-hand corner?
Yes.
I'm now going to show you the document that was marked as Defense 1107 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Sir, can you please visually compare the staple holes on page 4 to the staple holes on the succeeding page? Have you done so?
Yes.
And can you form any conclusions about that comparison,
I can form a preliminary conclusion.
which is?
They appear to have, this appears to be the document that was missing from this set of originals.
When you say preliminary, you won't form a final conclusion at this time, is that right?
Not at this time, no.
And why is that, sir?
I feel I would have to go back to the lab and look at it under a controlled situation with a microscope and other tools.
And that would be the standard practice for a forensic scientist.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, could we pass those documents, Defense 1107?
We must approach. Your Honor, may we approach?
With court order. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have to let the court reporters go so they can catch their train, and I told them I'd let them go at 10 minutes to 6. Because of our computerized court reporting system, after they finish the day, they then have to take the floppy disk and then download it to the main computer and all of that so we can produce our transcripts every day. And they then have to catch the train. So we're going to take our break right now. Mr. Fung, you can step down. You're ordered to be here tomorrow morning at 8:30. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stand in recess until tomorrow morning as far as the jury is concerned until 9 o'clock. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Do not discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you with regards to the case. Have a pleasant evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. All right, we'll stand in recess. And counsel can remain to view exhibits before we break. All right, thank you.